Everyone, welcome to our lesson. The file size, file formats, the DPI, and the supported files of Photoshop. So first, we have the Photoshop.psd file. So of all the file formats that Photoshop supports, the PSD format is probably the most important. PSD stands for Photoshop Document, and as the name implies, it's Photoshop native file format. PSD is one of the few file types that fully support all of the powerful features that Photoshop gives us. So like layers, layer mask, adjustment layers, channels, paths, and so on. It also serves as your working file. When we open an image in Photoshop, regardless of which file type the image was originally using, Photoshop temporarily converts into a PSD file behind the scenes, so we can work on it with all of Photoshop's tools, commands, and features at our disposal. So here is the example of PSD file. So PSD files are your best choice to serve as your master files and for achieving to CD or DVD or an external hard drive for safekeeping. If you've done any sort of editing work on an image and there's even the slightest chance you need to come back to do it again at some point in the future, save your work as a Photoshop PSD file. There's no loss in image quality no matter how many times you reopen and resave a PSD. And all of your layers, the layer mask, adjustment layers, and so on will be saved as part of the file, allowing you to go back at any time and make changes to the image or continue working from where you left off. You can easily print your images at home with Photoshop directly from the PSD file, and many commercial printers are now able to accept PSDs as well, although some may still require an EPS or TIFF version of the file instead. So it's always best check best to check it with your printer to make sure you're giving them the format they need. One of the newer advantages with PSD file is that they can now be imported directly into Adobe InDesign, giving you completely access to the individual layers in the file as you're designing your page layouts. You can even reopen as the PSD file in Photoshop directly from InDesign, make changes to the file, save it, and have the changes immediately update in your layout. The only real disadvantage to PSD file is that the file size can get very large, especially if you're working on an image with hundreds or even thousands of layers. But with computer hard drives and memory being so cheap these days, it's a small price to pay for the creative freedom that Photoshop and its native PSD file format gives us. So the bottom line for this, your PSD file is the most important file you can have. So be sure to save yourself a master copy of your work as a PSD file so you can always return to it in Photoshop when you need. So next we have the JPEG format. So the JPEG, also known as Joint Photographic Expert Group format, has been around for nearly 20 years now and has become the most popular and widely used file format for viewing and sharing digital photos. So it supports 24-bit color, which means it can reproduce roughly 16.7 million colors, and even the cheapest digital cameras can capture images as JPEG files. Most high-end digital SLR cameras give you the options of capturing images in either the JPEG or RAW format. So it is important, though not to confuse popular and widely used with professional quality. JPEG is what I called a lossy file format because it compresses the image. So these are my example. So which essentially makes its means means it takes some of your image information and tosses it's out the virtual window, never to be seen again. It does this to reduce file size, but the more compression you use, the worse your image look. You control the amount of compression being applied to file using the quality setting that appears in Photoshop when you go to save it. A high enough quality setting can still produce great looking images, but your file size will be larger. The lower quality settings can produce very small file size, but set too low and you introduce ugly and obvious compression artifacts. So the biggest strength of JPEG files is convenience. They're usually small enough that they can easily be uploaded and displayed on web pages. On photo sharing sites like Facebook and email to family and friends. Online printing services usually require your photos to be uploaded as JPEG files. The downside to JPEGs is that the reduced quality caused by image compression means they're not a good choice for printing when image quality is your primary concern. And they're also not good choice for achieving your originals. If you're if you're capturing JPEG files in your camera, make sure you're capturing the largest, highest quality images possible. Check your camera's instruction manual to find where the image quality option is in your camera's menu system. The highest quality setting is usually labeled large. One thing you want to avoid doing whenever possible is resaving JPEG files repeatedly. So each time to open and resave it, you add even more compression to the image. And it doesn't take long for these things to get ugly. Once the image detail is gone, you can never get it back. Unless, of course, you read the first part of this article and save a master copy of the originals as a PSD file. So next we have the GIF image. The GIF file format, which stands for Graphic Interchange Format, has been around even longer than JPEG, and it's the format of choice for web graphics. Notice I said web graphics, not web photos. So GIF files can only display up to 256 colors, far less than the thousands of colors needed to convincingly reproduce a photographic image, and far less still than the millions of colors supported by the JPEG format. So when it comes to web design, though the GIF format is indispensable, the files are well suited for web page layouts, banners, and buttons, especially if they contain large areas of solid color. All major web browsers support GIF files and their small file size load quickly on the screen. So GIF also allows web designers to create simple animations. One major advantage GIF has over the JPEG format, and another reason why it is so important for web designers, is that it supports transparency, although it supports only one level of transparency, meaning a pixel is either transparent or it's not. This can result in harsh edges around graphics if the edge color differs from the color of the background and its place over. For higher quality transparency effects, a better choice is the PNG format. So these are my example. So the PNG is the smaller file size and the better transparency, while the GIF format is the bigger file size, the worse transparency. So we have the PNG format. PNG stands for Portable Network Graphics. was originally meant to replace the GIF format. So, PNG also stands for PNG, not GIF. That never happened, and GIF files are still in wide use today. Yet the PNG format improves upon the GIF format in nearly every way. It improves on the JPEG format, while JPEG files support 24-bit color, 16.7 million colors. PNG files support up to 48-bit color, giving us more than 1 billion possible colors. That may sound impressive, but even JPEG files support more colors than the human eye can see, so any real-world differences between 24 and 48-bit color are minimal at best. So the biggest advantage over the JPEG is that PNG is a lossless file format, meaning that even though it still compresses images to reduce file size, the compression method it uses does not result in a loss of image quality. You can even resave the same PNG file format multiple times without degrading its quality. Whereas, JPEG files look worse each time you save them. With over a billion possible colors and lossless compression, PNG is a great choice for saving digital photos as high-quality originals. So the downside for this, though, is that PNG is not as widely supported as the JPEG format, and PNG does not support CMYK color, which means commercial printers can't use them for everyday viewing and sharing of your digital photos. So the JPEG format is still more useful and convenient if the image quality isn't as good. PNG's main advantage over GIF files, besides far exceeding GIF's 256 color limit, is that it can reproduce a full 256 levels of transparency compared with GIF's single level, giving a smooth transition around edges without having to worry about matching the edges with the background color. So PNG files are also usually smaller than GIF files, so they load even faster in a web browser. Unfortunately, the older web browsers may not support the PNG format, which means GIF is still the fastest and the safest choice when browser compatibility is your main concern. Also, while GIF formats animation, PNG files are most often used in multimedia programs like Flash as well as Keynote and PowerPoint presentations. We have that TIFF format. So like BSD files, the TIFF format stands for Tag Image File Format. It's one of the few file types that support all of Photoshop's features and is another great choice for archiving your images with lossless compression that allows you to save photos with the highest possible image quality. The quality comes at a price though, as TIFF files can be very large, especially when compared with JPEG files. So the tip is the universally accepted standard for images destined for commercial printing and is compatible with virtually all page layout programs like Quark Express and InDesign. So these are my example. We have the EPS or the encapsulated PostScript is another print industry standard format that's been around for quite a while, but its use has been in decline over the years. So the EPS files are not really image files in the traditional sense. Instead, they contain a series of instructions for how a printer should reproduce the image. So They can be imported into most page layout programs, but the encapsulated part means the files are open in Photoshop. A preview image must be embedded in the EPS file when you save it in Photoshop. If you want it to be viewable on screen when working in your page layout program, otherwise you won't be able to see it until the layout is printed. While EPS remains an industry standard format, you probably won't use it very often unless it's the format especially requested by your commercial printer. So we have the file size. To check the file size of your image, go to image and then image size. So next to pixel dimensions, you will find the file size measured in megabytes, M or MB. So the width and height are measured in pixels. Remember the standard screen resolution is 1024 over 768. The minimum being is 800 by 600. So the document size can be measured in number of units, but the most common is the centimeter or millimeter. So the resolution refers to the definition of the image. In general, any picture should be printed at the correct size at 300 dpi, but on screen looks good at 72 dpi. We have the PPI or DPI. So the pictures in terms of pixel density is the number of pixels per inch measured horizontally. So this is referred to as PPI or pixels per inch, but is also often called DPI. While this term is commonly accepted, it is not technically correct. So the DPI or dots per inch refers to the resolution of output devices such as laser or inkjet printers and plate setters or film image setters. For the sake of accuracy, we will use the term PPI or pixel per inch. So the DPI or dots per inch, the DPI stands for dots per inch. DPI is a measurement of printer resolution that defines how many dots of ink are placed on the page when the image is printed. So the DPI does not correspond directly with PPI because a printer may not put down several dots to reproduce one pixel. So this is because printers use a limited number of colored inks to reproduce an image consisting of millions of colors. So the higher a printer's DPI, the smoother your printed image will appear, provided you have a suitable amount of image resolution. So today's photo quality, inkjet printers have DPI resolution in the thousands, the 1200 to 4800 DPI. They will give you acceptable quality photo prints of images with 140 over 200 ppi resolution and high quality prints of images with 200 over 300 ppi resolution. So laser printers can print at various settings up to their maximum resolution. For example, a 2400 dpi printer could print at 1200 dpi or even 600 dpi. The number of gray levels a printer can mimic is directly related to the DPI of the printer. And the LPI using the formula below, we can determine how many levels of gray can be printed at a given line screen at a given printer resolution. So here's the math here. The output resolution divides screen frequency times 2 plus 1 equals to gray levels. Next, we have the supported file formats for Photoshop. So here, see we have the Photoshop PSD, the BMP or the bitmaps, CompuServe or the GIF formats, the camera raw, the project format or the PSE, the JPEG, the PDF, the PNG, the TIFF, and the Pixar. So that's all. Thank you.